to go is we're all going to share a little bit about our connection with invisible disability and how we are connected to this world and this community. And then we're going to share some ways that you can take action and empower you to do more work within your organization, within your community, within your home space. Okay? So, again, just a little bit about me. I am connected to this world, again, from my history with my father, as well as when I was 18 years old, I was exposed to American Sign Language, and I got a heart and a passion to learn American Sign Language. And in my career path, I worked at the University of Louisville, and I was the office manager for the American Sign Language Interpreting Studies program. And in that program, I was able to take classes, as well as I was the only hearing person amongst my team. And I worked with 8 other deaf individuals. Well, that opened my eyes to a whole new world. So when I left the University of Louisville and I went to Brown-Forman, I joined their Disability Council, and I said, how can we make Brown-Forman more deaf friendly? And at that time, I started to push toward exposing the deaf community to Brown-Forman and exposing Brown-Forman to the deaf community. And so we initiated some sign language classes, and it grew into our Disability Council grew into our CARES committee, and then from that point, it grew into our new ERG that launched this year. Jenna's on that steering committee with me as AVID, which is Awareness and Advocacy of Invisible and Visible Disabilities and Differences. So, I'm going to introduce Jenna. And Jenna, I'll let you go through and tell a little bit about yourself and your story.
Great, thank you. So thank you all so much for being here today, and I think it's a really exciting topic. And as Sherry mentioned, we're on the ADIC committee at Brown-Forman. And just a little bit about my background. I grew up kind of volunteering a lot. My mom was a teacher, and now my whole family teaches special education. I even taught for a little while, and kind of through those experiences, I met a lot of different people and learned a lot about how people would do things differently, learn different, and communicate in different ways. And whether that was with colleagues, teachers, the students, even their families and caregivers. And so that for me was really impactful, and I feel like I learned how to just be a better listener, a better teammate, and how can I best support people no matter how they do things, and that everybody's experience is really unique. So that kind of set me up with a lot of lessons that I took in my own personal life and in work ever since then. And then a previous role, before I worked at Brown-Forman, I helped manage a program called Autism at Works, and it was about 100 employees that we did internships in data science, and we really just tried to learn as much as we could about neurodiversity and about autism, and how can we best support employees so that they can bring their best selves to work, and how can they really be successful. And with that, again, just generalize, people have a lot of different ways that they prefer doing things. So that was also one of the reasons why when I got to Brown-Forman, I saw the CARES Council and joined Sherry and all the work that she's been doing. And I'm the cluster lead for neurodiversity, and just really trying to focus on bringing awareness and education for our employees, but as well as support for them, their families, and caregivers. So that's just a little bit about myself.
Thank you. And now we're going to introduce Emmy Majors.
Good morning, I'm Emmy, and I'm deaf. I was diagnosed when I was 4, officially diagnosed, excuse me. My mother believed I was deaf about 6 months old, but of course the doctors know it all. They won't lie. Being deaf wasn't different when I was 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, because my mom's deaf. I was lucky to be born to a deaf mother who not only deaf, but an advocate for the deaf. So I had an exposure to both the hearing world and the deaf world. So I got lucky. But when hindsight is 20/20, When I was younger, I decided I got to go to Kentucky School for the Deaf. I thought my problem just solved. I'd be with my peers that I can hear and communicate with. Well, my peers thought I could hear too much and I talked too much with my voice. They didn't like me. So here I am, right before I'm turning 12, 13, a very valuable and important time in teenage girls' life to discover who they are. Well, who was I? I was told by the hearing people, I'm deaf, you're not good enough. I was told by deaf people, you're too hearing, you're not good enough. Well, luckily during that time, I met Dr. Tekla Howard. Excuse me, I cannot spell that in there. She had a horse program that just saved my life. And I mean that in every way possible because I was on the wrong path. I figured, well, everybody threw me away, I'll throw myself away. Well, when I went to this horse farm, first week I got to stay all by myself with other kids just like me. Hidden and visible disabilities, so Down syndrome, we have blindness, we have blind and deaf, we have, you name it, we had all of them. And to me, I not only had to learn how to advocate and communicate for myself, but I had to learn how to work with other people who had disabilities that were different than mine. Because I already have a hard time communicating with somebody that can communicate and understand me. But then now I have somebody who also has a challenge, and I'm going to learn to communicate where they can understand me and I can understand them. Well, I'm at horses. Horses don't need me to talk, and I don't need to hear. They communicate with me in their own ways, and they humble me all the time. They humbled me when I was young. I was angry, and I would take that anger out on the horses when I felt like I wasn't being heard, just like in every day was when I didn't, well, move, kick, let's go. They would humble me and kick me off, and then they just stand there and walk me and laugh at me. You ready? Let's try this again. So through the horses, I was able to learn an effective way to communicate without having to use my voice and my hands. So growing up was a challenge, and I learned how to make that connection with animals, horses specifically. And that program really taught me about inclusivity. I cannot pronounce that word. You mind help?
Inclusivity.
Yes, that way. It taught me patience. It taught me understanding. Because there was sometimes the horses and I would be communicating, they didn't understand what I was asking them to do. I realized, I need to be more clear. I need to analyze myself and figure out a way to get through to them. Just like I have to do with people. People don't have that patience with me, but I still have to have that patience with them. Leading to, everyday battles and challenges, For example, I have two beautiful children. Both of them both were traumatizing. The first day, everybody that had their baby, they'll get their checkup, 8 weeks, 9 weeks, whatever, you find out. That day, I found out I'm pregnant, it's confirmed. I went straight to HR at the hospital, and I told them, look, I'm having a baby at 9 months. I want an interpreter. Well, guess what? The day comes, no interpreter. Now, mind you, after every appointment I had, I went to that HR and told them, getting closer, getting closer, getting closer. Still no interpreter. And not necessary. So nowadays, it led me to who I am now. I've realized, I have trauma, I have anxiety, I have frustration, but now I'm introducing people to horses. I'm able to see and watch them, see them make that connection, see them see what a doctor does. And they don't have to worry about communication, they don't have to worry about judgment, they don't have to worry about none of that. All they got to worry about is if they got some tweets. So that's my connection to it and what I have today. So thank you.
Thank you. Mary.
Well, thank you all for having me. First of all, that was an excellent testimonial. Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Here, I'll just hold this like a little microphone. That seems like it might work best. And I'll feel like a professional YouTuber. Do I look that good? So, my name is Mary-Reid Sheffer. Mary-Reid's a double name, like Mary Ann, but not. And I am the Director of Employment Services for a nonprofit called Edge Employment that's housed under a larger parent organization called Mattingly-Edge. So at Edge Employment, I represent people with disabilities of all kinds to help them find quality jobs, meaning they're interesting to them and well paid, hopefully, most of the time. And we utilize a method called customized employment. So thinking about what are the individual skills and interests and conditions for success of the person right in front of me, and where do those skills overlap with the most pressing needs of a business. And then we think about, well, how many hours will that be? How much are you willing to pay for that specific task to be done? And we are, unfortunately, one of only 2 organizations in Louisville that do employment in that way. And the other organization who we love is Down Syndrome of Louisville, but obviously they are population specific. And so I have the pleasure of interacting with people of all different kinds of disabilities every day. So how did I get here? I have people a lot of times say like, oh, I'm so thankful for what you do because I'm not trained in working with people with disabilities. And I have to chuckle a little bit because until I started in this job, I had also no training around disability. And you know what I've figured out over time is that you don't necessarily need training to interact with someone with a disability. You can learn from them, certainly, and each person's going to be different, and they're going to teach you something new about the way that their disability presents, but you don't have to have special training. So my background is actually, I was living in Nashville until 2018, where I was working on a Master's of Divinity, or an MDiv at Vanderbilt University. I was very unsure what I wanted to do. I am a queer person, and I was seeking ordination with the United Methodist Church, which at the time was not ordaining out queer people. And so I was coming up on graduation. I had some decisions to make. I was definitely not going to hide who I was to be ordained. And so I started looking at nonprofit work and what I might be able to contribute in those spaces. Well, in Nashville, the nonprofit market is very saturated, and there were almost no jobs. And so I started connecting with friends on social media and seeing what they were doing in the nonprofit world, hoping that maybe there would be something for me. And I had a friend who was working at this organization called Mattingly-Edge. I had no idea what they did, to be honest, but she said you would be a great fit because you'll do anything, you'll try it once at least, and you're not afraid. So why don't you come and interview with our executive director, see if you like it. And so I drove from Nashville to Louisville, went straight into my interview, and after 2 hours of hearing about the mission and the purpose of this organization, I accepted the job in the interview, having never been to Louisville before. I've been here about 6 years now, and in that time, I've gotten to work as an employment specialist, so working directly with people in a process called discovery to learn about those skills, those interests, and what they need to be successful. And then I also do job development. So I've probably spoken to some of you in this room, but I will go out to businesses in order to learn about what they're doing and propose customized matches. So basically, a lot of what I do is just learning, observing, and then negotiating. Since that time also, I have moved in with someone who has a disability and uses a power chair to get around. I have started dating a man with a disability, and my mom has also become disabled. And so, you know, not that anyone in this room needs to be told why to care about something. You're here, so obviously you care. But something I do share with people a lot is that disability and being disabled is one of the only marginalized groups you can join at any time. So you could wake up tomorrow with sight loss, or you could be in an accident and lose mobility, and then you won't need a reason to care because it will be you. And so all the work that we can do now to make the world accessible and welcoming could benefit you tomorrow, and it will definitely benefit you as you age. There's a lot to learn in this field, and I'm just lucky enough to be here and kind of be on the ride. So that is me, and I was introduced to this group by Sherry Flynn, who is a wonderful advocate, and when we get back into things you can do to make your world more welcoming, more accessible, I will definitely have examples about what Sherry has done. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Mary. I'll let her share all those great things.